Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Eubank Jr and welcome to Bayloric TV Boxing, the post-fight for Keith Thurman against Shawn Porter. First of all, before I begin, don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments, share the video, share the love. Wow, what a fight that was. You know, when you talk about boxing, you say to yourself, I want to see a good fight tonight. I want to see a real good fight tonight. That's what you saw with Keith Thurman versus Shawn Porter. You saw two guys at the top of their game coming together, young, hungry, undefeated fighter with the title on the line against another fighter who's young and hungry and, you know, was determined to get himself back to the top spot in the welterweight division. So it is fantastic to know that we saw a great fight tonight. Credit to both guys, Keith Thurman and Shawn Porter, for taking the fight. They didn't have to take the fight. They didn't have to make the fight happen. They did, and a credit to that. And a credit to both guys for putting out their heart and soul on the line. So we're going to give them credit for those things. Now, first thing, the scoring. I don't know. You could have scored it as a draw. You could have scored it 114, 114, 115. You could have scored it, you know, the scorecard for Thurman. I was a bit concerned that it wasn't a split decision. And the fight actually ended up being a close fight, but all three judges scored the same way. The minute when they said it was, unanimous decision and a close fight, but unanimous decision, Tim thought, oh, here we go. Because, you know, when you're thinking in today's realm of boxing, and you talk about Porter and you talk about Thurman, you look at the two guys. Thurman is undefeated, so he automatically is the more marketable guy. So if it goes to points, it automatically goes to Keith Thurman. I don't know, you know, politically, where Shawn Porter stands with Al Heyman. I don't know where Shawn Porter stands contractually. I don't know where Porter stands in terms of if he's a yes man or a no man. I don't know where Shawn Porter stands. And I think that's significantly important if you're not going to knock a guy out. I think these things play an important part in boxing. I mean, you don't just listen to what I've got to say. Just look at the fans and the people around the arena and what they thought. They booed Thurman. They booed him, you know, and you got to give both guys credit. They booed him, though. You know, I would like to see Porter at least one. You know, a split decision would have been better for me. I think I'd be more happy with that. But Thurman won. The thing is, Shawn Porter, when he was in position to do things, he spent too much time looking at Keith as opposed to doing things. Like I said, when Keith's back is against the ropes and Porter was on top of him, Keith didn't know what to do. I've said it before. When Keith's in the center of the ring and he's able to pot shot, that's when that's what he's at his best. Interesting points to fight. Porter getting cracked once again. Thurman unable to complete a fight and knock a guy out. Has Thurman now reached his ceiling when it comes to punch power? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. Is he this world-class puncher, or is he heavy-handed, but not just a world-class puncher? He did not. First of all, he did not Porter down. So what are we suggesting? Adrian Broner's a better puncher than Keith Thurman, or are we suggesting that Adrian Broner is a more accurate puncher than Keith Thurman? Don't know. How do we look at it? How are we seeing it, people? There are people in the room, and people keep coming into the room. So let's just hear what people are saying in the room. Feed says, Fury's on the juice. Say it ain't so. Marky B, yeah, the right guy got the win. Good fight. First, I'll talk about Thurman versus Porter. I think that Porter lost the last round, and for me, that's what, for me, you know, put the nail in the coffin for Shawn Porter, to be honest. So that's my concern with that. That last round was key. So I don't know what more to say. It was a great fight. You see, this is boxing. When you talk about boxing and two guys coming together and fighting, this wasn't a one guy trying to, you know, if there were two guys, it wasn't one guy who was, it wasn't a 90-10 fight. This was a proper matchup. And unfortunately, a lot of the matchups in boxing are not like that. A lot of the matchups, you know who's going to win before they get in the ring. Tonight with Porter and Thurman, this is what people want to see. This is what, when you talk boxing, this is what people want to see. They want to see a good fight, you know, and that is what they want to see. You'll never know who I am, because guess what? Bye. We'll never know. I mean, in terms of two guys coming together and fighting, boxing fans have got to demand this more. They've got to demand these kind of fights much more, as opposed to having fights where you know who's going to win. I mean, you can't have it all the time, but you know, people selling fights for what they are. This fight, Thurman versus Porter, should have been a pay-per-view fight. You tell me how in the UK, Anthony Joshua's pay-per-view, but yet Thurman versus Porter wasn't a pay-per-view bout. You explain that to me. I don't know. That just shows you how messed up the world of boxing is. This should have been a pay-per-view fight. It was worth a pay-per-view fight. This fight should have been in Madison Square Garden. That's the sort of fight it is. Marcus W. Wright says, mismatch room could learn a lot from matchups like that. How to get an amazing matchup, not a mismatch, as per Fast Eddie. You see, at the end of the day, if you follow a man and you subscribe to a man and the way a man's thinking and the way a man is, obviously boxing fans seem to like Eddie and his charming ways and his, you know, but the quality of his fights are piss poor, to be honest. But generally, and that Thurman Porter fight is what I'm talking about. That's what boxing's about. This is what we want to see. These are the fights we want to see. Why was it that Hagler, Hearns, Leonard Duran, why was it that those fights, people always talk about those fights? Because they were nicely matched. They were matched up. We talk about Bowe versus Holyfield. Great matchups. Lewis v Holyfield, or, you know, Holyfield versus, you know, so many different fights. Great matchups. Barrera versus Morales. Ward versus Gatti. I mean, the list goes on, you know. And at the end of the day, that's what people want. Fair fights. Fights with people who are equally matched. I mean, I understand guys watching guys fight on the way up. But, you know, when you're like, you're world champion, you need to be fighting the best guys that are around. And I just, from this tonight, I just hope that more boxing fans say that was a great fight. That should be the standard bearer. That Thurman v Porter fight, that should be the standard bearer of what boxing is about. That's what people should be clamoring about. That's what people should be watching. That's what people should be saying. That is what a boxing bout is. Not a guy that's unbeaten in 20 fights, fighting a guy that's unbeaten in 10 fights, but he's never fought anybody remotely close. The bad guy says the judges don't like Paul's style. He will always lose to elite fighters. That's a shame. That's the case. But I also think that fights can be won, as far as I'm concerned, in a bar. Fights can be won in a dressing room. Fights can be won on paper. Fights can be won before a punch is even thrown. And I'm concerned that with Shawn Porter, he as a fighter, him and his father, I don't know what they've done. I don't know who they've ticked off, but I get the expression that they're just two guys. But I mean, Shawn Porter seems a really nice Christian type guy, but stand-up guy. But at the end of the day, and they talk a lot about their Christian beliefs, that's why I threw the Christian thing in. But at the end of the day, something isn't right. I don't know if it's because Shawn Porter's dad Kenny Porter has more of a control over Shawn's career, whether it's Kenny Porter, you know, not wanting his son to go down certain pathways or fight certain fights or sign certain contracts. I don't know, but I can tell you something. There is certainly something in the water when it comes to Thurman and it comes to Keith, not Keith Thurman, but when it comes to Shawn Porter. Sorry, it's 5 o'clock in the morning UK time. So don't think people will accept it like Joshua Bum Hearn knows this. Well, if you look to the body language after Joshua came through his fight with Brazil, you look at the way Eddie Hearn was. Look at his body language as soon as Joshua won the fight. If you look at his body language, he didn't look too impressed. Eddie Hearn didn't look too impressed. He was like, yeah, well done. The relationship did not look good. I mean, I was just talking with my good friend as we were watching the boxing, and you know, every round we were like fist bumping because we were saying that is what boxing is about. And then we were taking back a few hours to Anthony Joshua versus Dominic Brazil, and like, what is that? What the hell is that? You know. But that was an amazing fight. Again, that fight should have been at Madison Square Garden. That fight was worth pay-per-view. And it's fights like that that the MMA world, the UFC world, those are the fights the UFC and MMA world need to be seeing, because that is what's going to bring boxing back. Quality fights, quality cards, quality bouts. That is what's going to change the world of, you know, the boxing world as it is. So somebody asked me a question earlier. I think it was Khabib, Fury on the juice, say it ain't so. Well, I can't tell you for sure if Tyson Fury isn't on the juice, because I'm not there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But what I will say is this: Tyson Fury has upset a lot of people, and when you upset a lot of people, and I've said it before, I don't know how many times I've said it in my videos, I've said it, that this whole thing about steroids, PEDs, and you know, you can just make an accusation about a fighter's career, and once you make the accusation, that sticks to fighter forever. Okay, so what I'm trying to say to you is this: that this whole drug thing and saying, oh, this guy had drugs on him, or this guy had PEDs on him, or this, you know, months after guys want to fight, you mention, come out and say something like that. It's a very easy way to discredit a person's career. Very, very easy way. You did drugs. You did drugs. I think it's I don't know if Fury did do it. My first suspicion when I heard it was that it's retaliation from those powers that be that don't like what Fury's been saying and doing. That's what I think. Those are my thoughts on it. I'd like to know, you know, why didn't 24 hours after the fight, 48 hours after the fight, why wasn't it mentioned that Fury was on some sort of drugs? Why wasn't it mentioned then? You like the Lucas Brown situation, why wasn't it mentioned straight afterwards? No, this guy's been champion for a while. He was just about to make this the first event of his heavyweight championship, and now they're saying he's on drugs. I mean, you know, if Klitschko can't beat him, what other way to go try and beat him is try and strip him of the title that way round. The heavyweight picture is looking messy at the moment, and if they strip Fury of it, and what's going on with Lucas Brown and the WBA, what's going on there? I mean, you know, you got the IBF, the champion was Joshua, who Tyson got stripped off because he decided to fight the undisputed champion then, which was Klitschko. University recognized, everyone recognized Klitschko as the man. So he vacates, so he doesn't fight. He decides to fight Klitschko. The IBF strips him. So they also mentioned Huey as well. If it isn't true, they should sue the Mirror for all they have. This is very true, Fikabi. The bad guy. Joshua needs to step up, and fighting weak opponents will give him a false sense of security. I agree. Dave Allen made a very valid point. He said to me, he said tonight on his Facebook page, he said, and shout out to Dave Allen, by the way, all the credit was to Dave Allen. He wants to fight the best guys out there, and if he believes Dillian White's the next step for him, just full of respect for Dave Allen for that. He basically said that, show me tonight, how does the fight tonight with Dominic Breazeale bridge the gap between Joshua and the leading pack? How does that prepare him for a Tyson Fury, a Wilder fight, an Ortiz fight? How does that prepare him for a fight against Brian Jennings or Steroid? It doesn't. He needs to start fighting guys who are going to hit him back. He needs to start fighting guys who are going to put him under pressure. So my thoughts on that is, well, he needs to start fighting better opposition. He needs to step up now. They know they've pushed their luck. Well, did you see Eddie Hearn's reaction after, just straight after Joshua won the fight? His reaction was like, okay, well done. It was terrible. Will Dillian Whyte ever get in shape? Career heaviest for the fight after saying he's going to learn from an AJ fight and getting tired. I don't know. Is Dillian Whyte going to be the next Derek Chisora? Is he Chisora Mark II? Is he going to win these guys? He's got more talk than talent. We're going to have to wait and see. But if he keeps fighting like that and putting on performances like he put on tonight, his rise to the heavyweight title is going to be one that either people are not going to care for, or he's going to get beat soon again. Hearn said Parker next or unification next 2 fights. Well, he's got to fight Joseph Parker next. I think Joseph Parker's the mandatory. So I think that's another step-up fight. I think it's a good fight. We'll see how Joseph Parker does. You know, you won't be able to mess around or fight the way he fought tonight against someone like Deontay Wilder, because someone like Deontay Wilder, just as tall, long arms, and punches hard. So Joshua needs to think about his approach for that fight. Joseph Parker, another tall, big heavyweight. Can Joseph Parker actually fight when he's clipped? I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. So Joseph Parker himself is still relatively untested. I'd like to see him rather fight a more seasoned campaigner. Like I said before, people laugh at me, but I'd like to see him fight Steve Cunningham. Steve Cunningham, takes a good shot. Steve Cunningham, former world champion. Steve Cunningham, when he gets on the inside, lets his hands go. Steve Cunningham will come and give it a go. And Steve Cunningham will move. And I don't think Joshua does well against movers. People who give him lateral movement, I don't think Joshua does well with. Just like his friend Dillian Whyte doesn't do well against guys that move. When people move, you saw Joshua was missing with a lot of punches. So my concerns are that Joshua, for his development, are these guys building a world heavyweight champion, or are they building up for a fall soon, or are they really considering the building blocks from where he is at the moment? How did that fight tonight with Dominic Breazeale improve Anthony Joshua? He went some rounds, but how did it improve him? What did he improve? What did he learn from the fight against Breazeale? He can go rounds. Well, he went rounds. He can do well against a guy who's not hitting him back or trying to hurt him, or has got power to knock him out. I don't know. I really don't know. So those are my thoughts on that. David Haye talking proper gas as usual. I don't know if Haye was on weed or he was on coke when he was talking, but tonight he just seemed like everyone else is talking, he's kind of shouting, and he just seemed like he was really buzzing. So I don't know David Haye. I don't even know if David Haye's any good anymore. I don't know. We don't know. Shannon Briggs will tell us a little bit more. Sad that Shannon Briggs has to be the test for David Haye. Has Joshua ever fought someone who doesn't move like they're dragging like an anchor around them? This is my point. This is what I'm saying to you, Khabib. He needs to fight someone who can move a bit. I said a Cunningham can move. A Brian James can move. Luis Ortiz can move. Guys that can move. I don't know about Povetkin, because Povetkin kind of moves his head. A Wilder's active. He moves his feet. He's quick with his hands. I don't know. Really don't know. So, but those tuning in, once again, Thurman versus Porter, What an exhibition that is. When you look in the dictionary of boxing, you look at that fight, you think, yes, great fight, clash of styles, guy who wants to fight on the inside, guy who wants to fight on the outside. Did Dillian White miss why did Dillian White miss every punch tonight? Not trained properly? Well, I don't know. Dillian White seems to be a man, you know, a man of his own. I don't know. There's some guys that, I don't know how to explain it. Some guys can take tuition from trainers, and some guys have their own philosophy in life, and you know, some people are unteachable and some people are not. I don't know if it's not for me to say Dillian White is unteachable or not, but I certainly do think at this point that he's going to need to buckle down if he's going to fight the top heavyweights in the world seriously. The bad guy says, I think it's getting dangerous putting Eubank Jr. in the ring with Jr. I totally agree with you there. Totally agree with you. Eubank's career has been ridiculous. Bums, then Saunders, now bums, then Golovkin. Nothing in the middle. It's world level or bums. I agree with you. I don't know what I don't understand what Eubank Jr. has done to actually open the door to a fight with Golovkin, apart from talk about it. Who is the world rated fighter? Tom Doran? Nick Blackwell? I mean, all due respect to Nick Blackwell and Tom Doran, I wouldn't call them world-class opponents. Domestic, maybe. European at a push, but world-class, no. Why doesn't he fight someone like an Andy Lee, a former world champion? Why doesn't he fight somebody like, who did I suggest? David Lemieux. There's a good fight. Why doesn't he fight David Lemieux and take out David Lemieux's style? Peter Quillen, fight Peter Quillen. There's a fight there for you. Danny Jacobs, there's a fight there for you as well. But you want to fight the best guy in the division. It just seems to me that Eubank wants limelight. I don't know if he actually can beat. I wish Eubank did not call out GGG, because GGG will accept. Of course, Gennady Golovkin will accept. The one thing that Eubank has, two things he has in his favor, is that he's fearless, and that one of his best punches is the uppercut. And if there's any punch in boxing, I think Gennady Golovkin is vulnerable to is the uppercut. But barring that, Eubank for me is very vulnerable. You can't do the things Eubank. You see, you get yourself into habit of doing. You get yourself into bad habits, fighting poor opposition, and then when you fight guys that are of a better opposition, you know, you're talking about moving from, you know, playing football in the park with your mates and scoring goals to suddenly pushing yourself and you're representing Manchester United and you've just been bought by Man United to play up front and be a striker. It doesn't work that way. There has to be some graduation, build up. And I just don't think that you may get away scoring banging 10 goals out against guys that, you know, but now you're fighting a guy that's gonna, you know, you're gonna fight against top class defenders. You're not gonna get as many chances. So in terms of boxing, you know, you're not going to get the opportunities, and the opportunities that he gives people to hit him and hurt him. You give Golovkin one or two of them opportunities, the fight could be over. How much do you give against Eubank against Golovkin? I see him taking a slow, painful beating like Muir took. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a slow beating, actually. I think it could be a quite fast beating, because Eubank will try and bring it. Golovkin's going to bring it. I think we'll know as soon as Gennady Golovkin hits Eubank Jr., you're going to know how long this fight will last. You tell me, on the record of Chris Eubank Jr., who has he fought that hits remotely as hard as Gennady Golovkin? So you can do all the stuff you're doing and posing and all that stuff against guys who can't punch. You know, Eubank Sr., when he fought Nigel Benn, had never fought anyone near remotely as good as Nigel Benn. And you saw Eubank's style come apart against Nigel Benn. The uppercuts is getting, you know, bust his tongue, open up on the inside. Eubank came back to win the fight because of heart, and Nigel ran out of steam because he, you know, was overweight. And had to shed, I think he had to shed a stone in a day or something like that. So yeah, so I mean, those are my thoughts. I'll do further information on I think Eubank, as long as conscious, will fight like a lion. Whether you can stay conscious is another thing. I totally agree with you guys. Right, I'm going to come to the end of the show. Thank you all for tuning in. It's 5 a.m. here, as I said, in the UK or in Ireland. I'm dead tired. So don't forget to check out the videos, the interview with James Ali Bashir. Check out my interview with the executive producer of the hit series Knockout. He talks about Iron Mike promotions, talks about promotion in boxing, how promotions can work right in boxing. The next series of TV series Knockout. So find out, hear about that as well. Check out the interviews, and don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave your comments. White Play On says, I have to give Porter credit. Always in shape, always works hard, has a Joe Frazier without the left hook. He mauls opponents in hopes he wear him down. Absolutely. Full credit to both guys. This has been Ingram Jones from Baylor TV. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a great night between Thurman and Porter. This is what boxing is all about. This is when we talk about boxing. Absolute showcase tonight of boxing. That was great. Maybe Matchroom can learn a thing or two about putting guys in with level equally matched opponents. Those are my thoughts. Take care and have a good night.